Hey everyone, welcome back to Teenage Therapy. I'm Gael.
I'm Thomas.
I'm Kayla.
I'm Mark.
And welcome back to the podcast. If you're a new listener, this is the podcast where we just talk about our feelings and give our points of views on subjects.
Unsolicited advice.
Yes. Well, we try not to say it's advice because I feel like there'd be legal issues.
Unsolicited
opinions, thoughts,
Yeah.
worldviews. You do what you want with it.
Yeah.
But I'm so proud of you
Not advice.
for listening to this.
So proud.
Yeah, I'm extremely proud of our listeners. You guys are really great. You deserve the
Oh,
world.
I see what you're doing.
Oh, did you like that praise? Do you feel cool?
How'd that make you feel?
Do you feel
Validated even?
right now, listener?
Those are things to ask yourself. If that unleashed a little bit of endorphins in you, think about why. So, to get right into it, when I was younger, something I realized, and I guess this kind of ties back to when we talked about our childhood, and how different environments shape us. But my relationship with praise has always been a little odd. Because I don't think I'm the type to like thrive off other people's validation. Maybe I am. You see, I don't know. Because I'm not necessarily doing things to get to people to be like, oh my God, you're so fucking cool. You're the best. But at the same time, like I do want them to think that of me. So is that searching for validation?
I mean, I think everyone does, but I think you're just doing it
Normally.
like a healthy amount
not
of it.
obsessing over it.
Unlike me. Because like I don't know, other people's validation does control a lot of the decisions I make. Because it's so important to me.
Yeah, I would say you have a little bit more of an extreme.
Quite an extreme. I don't know. My whole life, I've always just cared a lot about what other people have thought. And even though I have grown to be able to validate myself, I also still very much need other people's validation in order to feel good about myself.
That's so interesting.
And I think a part of that is just because my parents never really gave me it. You know?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah, like I just still to this day, even though I will like do something right, you know, they might congratulate me, but they always make a fuss out of all the little things. And it's like, I don't know. I never really
All the little good things?
no,
or
like,
bad things?
like bad
Okay.
things. Like I don't know. I can't think of any specific examples, but let's just say I did really good on this test. And it was so difficult, and I tell my parents, that's just what they expect. Like, oh yeah. Cool. Like that's like good for you, but you know, don't give up. Like keep on working hard, blah blah blah, whatever. And then let's say I don't do well on this one, or like I get a bad grade for a class or whatever, then it's like the biggest deal ever. And it's like, it almost feels like I can never do anything right. And because of that, I feel like I've always needed external sources to feel like I'm doing something right.
That makes sense. Do you think it's
Yeah.
because this is a point, something that a lot of people will probably bring up on like social media? It's like, oh, it's because you have Asian parents. That's just like the typical Asian parent. Is that common?
Oh yeah, no, I was gonna bring up like that's very stereotypical. Mark, I think you can probably relate to this, but Asian parents just are normally very strict. I don't want to feed into stereotypes, but it's low-key true where they do expect you to do academically well and succeed and go to college and get a good job. Understandable if you like think about where they came from and the values that they grew up with, but it can be a very isolating and difficult experience for the children who kind of have to always deal with the unrealistic expectations. Like I feel like I missed out on being a child sometimes just because I always felt like I had to work or like put in more effort than other kids
To be like this perfect version, as good as you can be.
Yeah.
Do you think that also feeds into like perfectionism now, and like everything you do, you never feel like it's good enough?
I always feel like if I'm gonna do something, I have to do it perfectly, or else I won't do it.
Mm.
I only want the best of everything.
That can be very dangerous because I have that same mindset where I want to like have everything perfect, but then I often find myself with unfinished projects because of that. Because if it's not perfect, I don't think it's like worth it to continue it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know, I think the way my mom validated me when I was a kid was very much like I heard her say a lot of praise. Like, oh yeah, you're the smartest kid, you're like the prettiest kid, you're the the best kid, you're so good, you're amazing. So a lot of compliments, a lot of praise. There wasn't really a lot of negativity or like putting down or anything, which I'm thankful for, but it's interesting that all that praise, I think, one, obviously inflated my ego as a kid, and like that rubbed into my adolescence. But also it set really high expectations for me. Because as a kid you're always hearing, oh yeah, you're the best in your class, you're the best at this, you're the best at this. It makes you realize like, oh my god, like my mom's saying I'm the best, I have to live up to those expectations of being the best. And now being 18, I feel like there is a pressure for me to be the best at everything that I do and just like excel at everything in order to not disappoint anyone or my parents or even just myself. I get disappointed when I'm not like exceeding what other people are doing. So that's a different way that validation affects me. I think that also affects how I live my life because there's a lot of pressure that I have internally. Because it's like I don't necessarily get validation from others. I think I get a good amount of it from myself, but I only get it if I'm like, instantly good at something or just better than other people or something. That's when I feel like, oh, I'm like worthy enough, I should keep doing this. But yeah, if I do something and I'm not like, pretty quickly getting good at it or just, being above others in that skill, then I start to get discouraged. I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this. Like, what's the point? Like, it doesn't matter. So that's a habit that I have, that I have this constant pressure to just absolutely like be the best. And if I'm not gonna like, it also puts like unrealistic expectations on myself, is that you can't be the best at everything. And you can't. Yeah, you can't. So it puts this barrier that like there'll be times where, I could just be normal at something. What am I trying to say?
You don't have to be exceptional at something.
Yeah, like I find it hard to like, I'll obsess over a lot of new things I try in order to instantly get good at a lot of things. And so what that leaves me is like me being really good at a lot of things, but not like amazing at one thing. Because my focus always goes to like, as soon as I'm like better than the people around me at one thing, I want to do something else and like excel at that. And I don't like feeling like someone's better at something than I am. Like if I feel that way, then I might be like, now I got to get into that in order to like be even better or something.
Yeah.
Well, I don't get a lot of praise from my parents. Or maybe my mom, I guess. She'll be like, oh, good job with your grades, or like, you're so smart, or like, oh, you're such a hard worker. And I'm like, yeah, such a hard worker. And it does make me feel a little nice, I guess. But something I realize is that sometimes I don't think like she understands the amount of work that I do put into my, the things that I do. And so when she says like, oh, like you're such a hard worker, I feel like she only pictures me doing a little bit. And I'll still be like, thank you, Mom, whatever. My dad, I don't get it, obviously. There's like none on that side. I like don't remember any like form of praise he's given me. Not from my siblings either. Maybe a little bit, but even then it feels sort of like surface level. And I remember like a few days ago I was having a bad night. And Thomas was there. And I was just telling him, like, I'd been feeling like really overwhelmed with like everything going on. It had been like just a rough month. And then Thomas was like, "Oh, like you're doing a good job," and I was like, "Oh my god, oh my god, you see, like I'm crying." But it just meant a lot. Yeah,
I'm glad.
It really be those random moments of praise when you're like
no,
are going through
literally,
it.
I was like not expecting it. And I was like, "Oh my god, wait, caught me off guard." But it does feel nice when somebody like recognizes that, like, you're trying hard and you're putting like everything you have. Because sometimes when it's not recognized, it's sort of like, what am I doing this for? If like nobody can see the progress that I'm doing or like the work that I'm putting in, is it even real? You know?
Right.
But for the most part, most of my validation does come from myself. Even then, though, I don't reward myself enough. I always feel like I could be doing more, or like the work I did wasn't good enough. I could have done this better. So I'm always just like critiquing myself rather than being like, you did a good job at this.
That's interesting. I feel like I don't really allow myself to be praised, nor do I praise myself for most things in my life. Like I never take a step back to like be like, wow, I'm so proud of my accomplishments. Like what I did was big. It was good. It was like, you know, very like genuinely a good accomplishment. Like I should be proud of it. I never take time to think about that when others like tell me like how good I'm doing or how like, you know, great something I did was. Like I'm like, oh, I guess so. Like I don't think anything I do is a big deal.
Yeah.
I see it all as like it's to be expected of me. Like it's, you know, I have to be better. Like it's just what's expected. Like there's nothing necessarily to praise yet. And it always feels like I'm like reaching some sort of like status or accomplishment that is just always going to be higher and higher. Like no matter how much I'll have, I'll never be like, okay, I'm proud of myself. It'll always be like, I need to do more. And I wonder if part of that came from the fact that, you know, if I would get like, I don't know, a 90 on my quiz, sometimes my mom would be like, okay, let's get 100 next time. And I'd be like, oh, now I got to get 100, right? And so it always feels like I'm like, I just have to keep working like even harder. So maybe like the same thing that you were saying, Thomas, of like trying to be perfect. But for me, it's not. It's just about like not praising myself, or even letting praise come to me.
Yeah, I think for you, it's like, or honestly, it's kind of the same, just very like slightly different. I just feel like nothing I do is ever enough, but it's not in the way that you or
Yeah, it's a little different.
Yeah, I don't know how to distinguish exactly what it is.
I think it's that like I know what I'm doing, it's good. I know it's better than most people, but it's still not good enough for myself. And I think you just don't know if other people will see it as good enough.
Yeah, so you don't see it as good enough for yourself. I see it as like it's good enough for myself. Like I recognize my own accomplishments a lot. I reward myself for almost everything I do. It's very important to recognize like your accomplishments and, you know, treat yourself every now and then whenever you are doing a good job. But I feel like I mainly do it so that others can perceive me as like, oh, he's good.
What do you mean?
He's like successful.
You want others to praise you.
Yeah. It's not for me in the way that Gael was doing it for himself. Like, oh, this is like, I don't know.
Yeah, like yeah, because yeah, you praise yourself and you also want others to praise you.
Yeah.
I like can't accept any sort of praise for myself or others.
No, everything I do is almost for other people's praise.
Yeah. That is
Scary.
yeah.
Scary, detrimental. It's horrible.
I mean, I've seen how that plays and how that affects your life, and like it was something I could never understand. I'm like why not just do it? Like no one cares. And it's like no, they will care. Like I have to do this and all that
because they do.
What makes you think that like they do though?
I don't know. It's like literally for as long as I could remember, I just I don't know why people's opinions just mattered so much to me. And I think it's because of my parents. Like, I was condemned for like my own identity and my personality and my interests, my accomplishments, and I just never really felt accepted or felt comfortable being myself. And so I have to kind of overcompensate by doing more, accomplishing more, so that other people can see that, like, oh yeah, okay, you know.
That's interesting. There's also this thing for me where I want to be like the best at everything, so then people can't criticize me, I think. So then there's no, like, I guess, like, weakness or anything. Like, and this some people might see this as a good thing, because even in like my own, the way I treat others, if someone points out like, oh, like, you're very selfish, I will go out of my way to never like be selfish and not be selfish, because I don't want to give them any chance to like criticize me. So I do a lot of that, and that kind of leads to personal growth. But yeah, I think I'm like uncomfortable letting people have something over me, and I just only want praise and none of the criticism. And if there is criticism, I like quickly do everything I can to fix it, so then the praise can begin.
Let the praise begin.
Yeah, let the praise begin. I want people to know,
But you can't accept it.
yeah, I can't accept it, but I just want people to know that it feels nice that they praise me, but I'm not going to accept it. Like, I'll still be even
But
better.
isn't that you accepting it if it feels
isn't that you
nice?
accepting
I
it?
don't know.
Maybe.
It's hard for me to follow.
Do you just not like the verbal affirmation?
I don't like, it's like I acknowledge that, I just want to make sure. No, it's not even like I want the praise, is that I don't want the criticism. So whether they praise me afterwards is like whatever. I just don't want to give them anything to criticize me for. So I guess that's a little different. Criticism, praise, and validation.
Okay. Yeah. That makes more sense.
Yeah. Which like brings a point. How do you guys handle criticism?
I was just thinking about that. I was like, I think I'm a little bit sensitive to criticism, actually. And when you were saying about like wanting to be perfect at some things, I'm like, yeah, that's me. And when I'm not perfect at something, or if I'm not like really, really good at it, I'm like, I don't want to do this again. Or I'll just like put myself down, even though like I'll be new at it. I'll just be like, if you're not good at it, then you're just not meant for it. Like, it's just not meant to be. Like, you just have to find something else. But I am trying to redo that train of thought. So like I give myself the chance to explore it a little bit, see if I like it, see what I like can do well in that area and what I can't. But yeah, a little sensitive to criticism as well.
Yeah. Oh my god. What about you, Mark?
I think that's just my ego.
Yeah.
Same thing. It hurts for sure. Like, I hear it, and then I just play in my head. Or the moment they say it, I like take a moment to myself, and it seems like I'm alone, and I just sit there in silence. Sometimes I just need like a couple minutes in silence. But I do take it to heart though, or like I do listen to it. I take it, and I try to do my best with it. I often find myself in like a student-teacher relationship where I'm the student or where I am the student. Like if I see somebody that's like clearly better than me, I usually tend to be like the way I think is like, oh, okay. So should I do this? Should I do that? Okay. If you have any like criticisms, just let me know, or like something like that. Like I'm very open to it, but it does hurt.
That's good though. I feel like that shows a lack of ego.
I try.
I think that's a good way to put it. Like, I'm open to criticism, but it hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely do.
I think in terms, because you guys are talking in terms of work, and I feel like when it comes to work, it's like kind of the same thing, but I think I take it a lot less personally now than I would before. I don't know, because I know I'm not perfect at a lot of things, and when you first acknowledge that, like, okay, I'm not going to be amazing at this, it's okay if I hear like criticism, because it's kind of expected. If you expect it, then it's like, okay, cool. But I take it personally when someone criticizes my like behavior, like not work. It's like behavior, and it's like, ooh, like that hurts like a bitch. Like, hasn't happened in a while, but like when it does happen, I go into a spiral. I'm like, I need to change everything about myself.
Oh, no.
Like, this is bad. Like, this person has a negative perception of me, and I need to fix it.
What kind of criticism / praise matters more, from your close friends or from strangers?
Strangers, for sure.
Really?
Not from
Yeah.
my close friends.
See, I have amazing friends. I love all my friends. I have a very, very great and supportive group of people around me who are always gonna be there for me no matter what. Like, they'll never, like, I know that if they care, that's all that matters. Like, if they think I'm doing good, then it's all that matters. That's how it should be. But like, if the whole world doesn't see that, then it almost kind of is invisible to me. Like, I almost like just overlook that because I need everyone to see me as like the person I want to be.
Do you consciously look for like new strangers to have that viewpoint or give that praise, or is it just like strangers that
There's
you
people
meet?
that stick out and I'm like, okay, you're like kind of, you have qualities that I would like.
Yeah.
So I not expect, but I strive for your recognition or your validation. There's like a little bit of a hierarchy of like who I value praise from. Like, I look for specific, you guys ever look through your story and then it's like, oh, these specific people have seen my story. Cool.
Ah.
Oh, so then your hard work paid off because they saw your story.
Oh, yeah.
I could kind of relate to that.
Right? and it's not like, and it's not, it's just, I don't know, it sounds almost weird, but I really hope you guys don't think it is. It's just, these are just people that I think kind of reflect what I want to be. And like,
That makes sense.
I don't know, some people are just so cool. And I'm like, well, if cool people think I'm cool, then like, I'm cool.
That's interesting.
Which,
Oh, nice.
which then implies that there are people who aren't as cool. And then it's like, I won't be commenting on that. Like, it's
why won't you be?
because
commenting?
it's so annoying having to defend that. Like, there, you just think highly of some people and not as highly as some people. But I'm not putting anyone down.
Yeah,
It's like,
that's like,
it's just
No,
normal.
it's just
so
normal.
normal. But
Yeah.
I feel horrible saying it. It's like the
I
same
think-
thing about appearances and stuff. It's like, oh my
It's subjective
God.
for sure.
It's
Yeah,
subjective.
it's very
It's just
subjective.
me.
It just depends on what you do with it.
and look, it's not, I like to think like, we're products of our environment, right? Like, it's not your fault that you think like, oh, some people are ugly, some people are attractive.
Okay,
I'll choose
I
them
don't
more.
think some people are ugly. It's just that
Thomas
like,
did not use the U word.
Well,
like,
cool,
it's
uncool. Sorry.
not uncool. It's just not as cool. I don't
But I feel like that's normal.
I don't think anyone is like, oh, bad. It's like, oh, they're just not
Lame.
who I
Losers.
please. They're
But-
just not
You're just
the
you just
peop-
wouldn't be friends with them.
Basic.
No, it's
Wow.
just
Oh, okay.
Wow,
Well,
Thomas.
oh, whatever. I'm not gonna defend myself.
kidding. Yeah, don't do it. It's okay. Guys,
We
don't
get
hate
what you
him. Don't
mean.
cancel him. Don't cancel him.
Okay.
So, okay, that's an interesting point. So then that means like you value a stranger. Would you put that means you're putting like strangers over your friends if you value if you have.
Well, when you put it like that, it sounds mean, but like,
Yeah, it's just what happens.
Yeah, is it true?
they have their own weight in different scenarios. Like, obviously my friends are gonna say, oh, Thomas, you look so good right now. Like, I'm like, oh, thank you. But like, I still need other people's opinions
I get what you mean.
to like feel like, oh yeah, okay, for sure. You know, it's like,
Okay.
thank
Strength
you.
in numbers.
I appreciate it, but like, you obviously have biases and you're obviously gonna support me no matter what. And I need some haters to like kind of help me see what works and what doesn't work.
But what do you do when you do encounter those haters? Then what?
Well, I evaluate.
I'm a hater.
Kyle is actually a hater, but we're not gonna
Kyle
get
is
into
a
that.
hater, yeah.
I just evaluate their taste and
Proud
like
hater.
kind of like, are they someone I would even kind of like? Let's say it was someone I want validation from, and they were to like
Are they
criticize
on your
me.
level?
Oh, that's horrible. But like, if it's not, then I wouldn't care as much.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't take advice from people less successful than me.
Yay.
No, that's literally
Wow.
not it.
It's not even like, I feel like that's not even that controversial. Like, it makes sense, no? But maybe not.
No, like that's literally not what I'm trying to say at all.
Oh no, it was just
Please
something
do
I
not
was
interpret
saying.
it like
no, yeah,
that.
that's my
Interpretation.
point of view.
That's his.
So
that's
that's
how
what you
Kyle
think
feels.
that-
Well, I haven't thought into it that much. I don't know, maybe. Okay, this is another topic or another point is that like we get like what you were saying, different people's have like different people's opinions have different weight on my validation, inner validation. Like for example, like my body. I don't think I get validation from anyone except like myself.
That's not me.
No?
No. This was a question from like in my head the whole time. I don't really see a lot of value in the validation I give myself compared to other people.
Interesting.
Yeah. Sometimes I
Oh
look
my
at you
God.
guys, I'm like, how do you guys give yourself value or validation?
Maybe it's because you don't have an ego. Or like your ego maybe isn't as big as
I
ours.
I think that's it actually.
I
I'm a saint.
He's a
I don't have a
saint,
big ego.
egoless. Yeah, maybe not.
I'm very humble. You know.
You do have an ego, but
That's literally the most untrue thing.
I think in a lot of aspects, your ego isn't as like high. So you
think
accept
so.
you accept.
I think so.
Maybe it's just praise. You love praise.
I think I'm submissive.
Yeah, I mean I could see that.
Yeah.
You like people to like validate you and be like, really, you think so, right?
Yeah. I think that's what I
Okay.
mean when I like say I put myself in a student
Yeah.
tutor or whatever.
You want them to tell you like, oh, you're doing a good job.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Like I want to be a learner. I want to learn the things. You know what I mean?
Did your mom ever tell you were doing a good job?
Whoa.
That got
Not
deep.
really. Not really. When she does say it though, it feels weird.
Really?
Yeah.
Now you can't accept it.
It's not that. It's like I don't. Okay, this sounds like ungrateful, but it's like I don't see any value in that
Why?
Elaborate.
because it wasn't reinforced when I was younger. Does that make sense? If I feel like if it was reinforced when I was younger, it would mean a lot more. But since it's like just now, it's like
It does feel weird. Yeah.
yeah,
I
it's
get you.
like
You went so long without it that it just doesn't really matter.
yeah. Like it's
That makes
exactly.
sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I want I don't know, that's an interesting point that like our own egos or perception of ourselves is what allows us to either get validation from others or not. And since yeah, I think since I have this image in my head of like I gotta be the best, I am the best, I'm like so good and top of class, whatever. I'm like, that means I can't take advice from people less successful than me.
I mean,
No, you I feel like it's like, yeah, because when I was a kid, I like my ego was like, you know, brought up and up. I think like, oh, well then if I'm the best, then I have to just what I consider good and worthy is the only thing that should matter. So maybe that's why I have a hard time taking advice or praise, because I'm like, no, but your standards aren't good enough. And like only my standards are acceptable because mine are the highest. So
okay, I fluctuate to that too.
yeah, so that I think that's a little bit of why I struggle to have praise. I hope you enjoyed this episode. You were an amazing listener. You've been so supportive.
Thank you
and you
so
should be so
much.
proud of yourself for listening all the way through, because attention spans nowadays aren't that long. So the fact you did this means you're probably more attentive than other people your age. You're probably a little bit smarter and a little bit more educated.
Just
so
better overall.
yeah,
really.
just more emotionally aware.
Superb,
I'm proud
Yeah,
of you.
only like really smart people listen to
Yeah.
podcasts.
and unique.
Yeah, unique ones too. So and beautiful and sexy. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Unbiased, of course.
Yeah, Yeah, we're haters,
Yeah.
but we're not hating on you because we see the value. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I will put something about ego and validation in the Q&A below in the description of the episode if you're listening on Spotify. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, you're out of luck. They don't have that feature, but Spotify does. So that's great. Not sponsored, by the way. Anyways, remember
We just showed our bias.
know, like,
that was our bias. Okay, well, what
Just
am I
means
supposed to
Apple
do?
needs to up their game.
They do. Send us a gift. Anyways,
Send us PR, dude.
We need validation.
we need validation from Apple. Yeah, remember if you want to come talk to us every Sunday at 6 p.m. PST, we have our Spotify Green Room. Go to our Instagram at Teenage Therapy for more info on that.
Talk to us live.
Yeah. Oh my God, everyone that joined in like 2 weeks ago was so cute. We all said bye together.
So cute.
Also, you could join our Discord. Go to teenagetherapy.com and click on the Discord invite. It works now. I know, like, I've been saying this, but the link was kind of broken. It works now, so you're good. And if not, you could just always message us on Instagram at Teenage Therapy for the link, and we'll send it to you. But anyways, thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.